Hey guys, it's Kyla at the MJC, and today we are going to go through the Division of Real Estate section in the proposed marital settlement. And this is for both the proposed marital settlements with and without minor children. You'll see the paperwork that I'm technically working on is the without minor children, but this section is identical in both sets of forms. So if you're seeing this in the with minor children video series, do not panic. This one will tell you exactly how to fill out the section for your forms as well. Before I get into all that, however, I do want to make clear that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It is a video, so I'm not able to analyze your specific situation, to evaluate what's going on and determine whether this is the right paperwork for you, whether what you're asking for is likely to be approved by a court, or whether all of this is in your best interest. If you do have those type of questions, I'd recommend getting some legal advice. You can get legal advice for free here in Milwaukee County through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're not located in Milwaukee County, you can contact your clerk of court to find out what resources are available in your area. All right, so as I mentioned, this is the Division of Real Estate section. If you and your spouse, if neither you nor your spouse has any real estate, so no houses, no duplexes, no hunting land, no property that you co-own with your 8 other siblings that you're 1/8 owner of, nothing, no real estate that belongs to you, then you can check number 1 and you're done. That's it. So nice, easy. You can skip on down to the debts and liabilities section in our next video. For those of you where somebody has real estate, you're going to check number 2. And there are 2 options. I'm going to counterintuitively start with the second one because it's going to require less explanation. So if you have any real estate that is not a primary residence, so if you own hunting land, if you own a tiny little cabin up in the woods, if you own a rental property, or if you own anything else that isn't a primary residence, you're going to check B. That's for other real estate, and you're going to fill out Schedule A. And you'll find at the end of this video series, there is a video on filling out Schedule A. So that is also easy enough, although again, you'll still fill out Schedule A. You will also, I should note, check other real estate if you and your spouse have 2 properties. So if you have a primary residence where one of you lives and a primary residence where the other lives, one of them will be listed here under primary residence. For the other one, you'll check other real estate and go to Schedule A. But for our purposes, again, those of you that have been following the long saga of John Smith and Jane Doe know that there's just one residence there. And this one is a little odd because that residence, again, for those of you who have been following this series, know that that's actually owned by John and he's living there. So it's worth noting that even though Jane is the one filling this out, so she is the person who is filling out this form, she still needs to list John's residence, even though we know from their financial disclosures that it is only titled in John's name. So she still needs to list it. So you'll list that information. If you know your spouse has property, so you know they have real estate, but you don't know the information about it, that could be a good thing to get some legal advice about to figure out in your specific situation how to get that information. But lucky for us, Jane knows the information about John's fictional property here. First Street. And that is here in Milwaukee. Oh, I need to tab over. 16. So you'll need to get the parcel identification number. You can find that parcel identification number through the city assessor's office for the city where it's located. So here where it's located in Milwaukee, you can find that through the Milwaukee City Assessor's Office. If you search for My Milwaukee Home, that is their property information section. So you should be able to find the property information search from there. And I'll just show you real quick. It looks like this. So when you're navigating their website under My Milwaukee Home, go ahead and you'll go to this address search. And then here you will enter the address. I'm obviously not going to enter, well, I guess I'm going to enter the address. I'm not going to enter John's address because we don't have a real property. John's address is made up. So I'm just going to put in the courthouse, which is located at 9th Street. So you'll find the right one for you. You'll submit the address. And it's going to think for a bit. So it'll pull up this little property information box. And from that, you can get the tax key. So you can see this is the tax key number for the courthouse written there. You'll obviously want it to be for the property that you're doing. And you'll just write that tax key in here. So instead of putting the one for the courthouse, I'm going to go ahead and list the fictional one for John's fictional property. And one other thing you'll need is you need a legal description of the property. So you can find a legal description. Sometimes it'll be part of your deed or your mortgage paperwork. You most likely have it in the paperwork from when you originally got the house. So if you have it from that, great. Make a photocopy of it, attach it. But I find a lot of people don't have that. You can also get a legal description through the city assessor's office. Again, if your property isn't in Milwaukee, you'll want to make sure you're using the property search for the city or town where that property is located. But here, you'll go to City Assessor's Details for Milwaukee, and you'll click on one of these. Off on the left, and I'm sorry, my screen cut it off just a bit, so you can't quite see it, but you can just click on the tax key. And sorry, I took us to the wrong one. You can click on the tax key, and it will pull up this page. Again, the page is a little bit wider than what you're seeing. I do apologize that the screen's cutting it off. But what you can see, the important thing you can see is down here there is a legal description. And it's all this gobbledygook. It's, not usually very sensical. And so it'll have a legal description. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to print off this page and attach it to your document. So you've got the tax key, you've got the legal description. Awesome. We're done with this little section here. In the next section, you've got to decide what you want to do with that property, what your proposal is for what's going to happen with it. And you've got a few options. If you're suggesting that this primary residence be awarded to one or the other of you, you'll click the box by whoever you want it to get. So if Jane she thinks that she should be awarded this property, she should check A. If she thinks that it should be awarded to John, she'll check B. And the other thing you'll do in this section is you'll include refinancing information. So if the mortgage on this house was in both parties' names, so if Jane's name is also on the mortgage, what she can do is she can say the respondent, again, remember that's John, or she can just put his name. So we could put John Smith, and then we'll say shall refinance to get Jane Doe off the mortgage by, and we're just going to put a deadline. So the date by which he is supposed to get that done. So we'll say the end of 2021. You can put whatever date you want. Again, if you're not sure what date you should put, or if you're not sure if a court will approve it, you can get legal advice on that. So you'll do that. If, let's say Jane's name is not on the mortgage, then we can say no refinancing required because petitioner is not on the mortgage. Or if there is no mortgage, so we could say because there is no mortgage. Just whatever you have going there. So that is if one or the other of you is going to keep it. If you do have more complicated agreements, what am I going to say? You should get some legal advice about that. But if you do have more complicated agreements that won't fit in this little line, you can click See Attached to get that more complicated agreement included. The other option here is if you want to sell the residence. So let's say this primary residence, Jane thinks that they should sell it and split the proceeds. Then she's going to pick number 2. And it's got a few questions under number 2. This first one, A, is asking, while the property is up for sale, who's going to live in it, who's going to manage it, who's going to use it? And she can either say it's going to be the petitioner or joint petitioner A. That's Jane in our situation. the respondent or joint petitioner B, that is John in our situation, or that they will share it equally. So if they're both going to be living there, we could check shared equally. 4, if you have some other situation other than those 3, you can write it in on line 4. So in our situation, since John is already staying there, we'll have Jane say that he can continue to stay there. And again here, pending sale, so while you're waiting for that home to be sold, who is going to pay the mortgage? Who's going to pay any real estate taxes that come due? Who's going to pay the homeowner's insurance and all that kind of stuff? So again, you can check the petitioner or joint petitioner A, so that is whoever's name went first. In our situation, it's Jane. You can check respondent or joint petitioner B, again, whoever's name went second. So in our situation, that is John. Or you can say it'll be shared equally. But again, in our situation, I know from our previous videos that John has been paying it, so Jane can go ahead and propose that John's going to just keep paying it. Last but not least, this is if pending the sale, there are any repairs or assessments or anything that needs to be made kind of in conjunction with the sale, any sale-related costs. Who's going to pay those? Again, she can propose that it be the petitioner or joint petitioner A, that'd be Jane, the respondent or joint petitioner B, that'd be John in our situation, or suggest that it be shared equally. And whatever, we'll say Jane wants to share them equally. Again, you don't have to fill it out the way I have. You can pick, she could say she lives here. You can pick whatever proposal you want to make. I'm just showing you kind of how it would look when filled out correctly. And last but not least, here is where you're going to put how the proceeds from the sale will be split. So these 2 numbers that you're going to write here need to add up to 100, but they can be whatever numbers you want. So she could suggest they split it 50-50. Maybe she wants to split it 60-40. Or maybe wants to split it some other way. Maybe she wants to say she'll keep it all and he'll get nothing. You can propose anything you want. Again, you may want to get some legal advice to find out how likely it is to get what you're wanting and what you would need to prove to get it, but you can propose whatever you would like here. And then again, if you do have 2 pieces of real estate or more, you would check B for other real estate, and when you would fill out Schedule A. All right, well, that is all for this section. As always, thank you guys for watching. I hope that it was helpful. If you do have additional questions, you can contact us during non-pandemic times at the Milwaukee Justice Center. We are located 901 North 9th Street, room G9. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'll be back with another one pretty soon. But until then, go out and represent yourselves well.